Western media has done its best to paint Russia as the barbaric villain in front of people across the globe. However, the truth can't be hidden for long. It's not Russia, but the USA that is being seen as the biggest enemy of the world. In a recent research, it has been proven that the French people view the US as their biggest enemy and also the biggest hindrance to their economic prosperity. Hi and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Atul Mishra. Let's begin. Some astonishing conclusions concerning who and what the French people and intelligence services dread the most when it comes to dangers to the country's economy have been revealed by new research published by France's École de Guerre Économique. École de Guerre Économique, or the French School of Economic Warfare, specializes in economic intelligence and is being supported by French intelligence. The research was done to answer the question of what will happen to France in an increasingly aggravated setting of economic war. The need for an answer to this question has grown for the EU as Western sanctions on Moscow's exports, particularly energy, have had disastrous effects on European nations, but not the intended impact on Russia. The US, the nation that pushed for these sanctions the hardest, hasn't been harmed either. However, this question isn't being asked in other EU capitals as much as it should be. The École de Guerre Économique report was inspired by the continent's failure, or at least unwillingness, to take into account the negative repercussions of the Ukraine war on the daily lives of European citizens. The conclusions reflect the viewpoints and thinking of experts in the under-researched topic of economic warfare, as they are based on in-depth study and interviews with French intelligence experts, including representatives of spy services. According to the research's lead author, Christian Hablot, France and other European nations have lived in a state of the unspoken since the end of World War II. He says that the elites feared that communism may rule France. Therefore, to resist it, they allowed US to establish military bases in their countries. It goes without saying that everything has its price. The compensation for this aid from across the Atlantic was to make us enter into a state of global dependence, monetary, financial, technological, with regard to the US. And French governments have fallen in line, with the exception of the years from 1958 to 1965, when General Charles de Gaulle tried to increase Paris's independence from Washington and NATO. Yes, the dependence on the US, but didn't the media tell you that Europe is over-dependent on Russia, keeping in mind its energy reliance? Well, French intelligence services don't believe so. This acceptance means that aside from rare public scandals like the sale of French assets to US firms, or Australia foregoing its purchase of French-made submarines in favor of a contentious deal with the US and UK, popularly known as AUKUS, there is little recognition, let alone discussion, in the mainstream media as to how Washington exerts a significant amount of control over France's economy and politics. With the US, the EU may enjoy a 150 billion euro trade surplus, but Washington never allows this economic advantage to result in strategic autonomy from it. And this progress is made despite ongoing strong geopolitical and military presence from the US at all times, which more than offsets it. 97% of intelligence services believe that the United States is the foreign power that most threatens Paris's economic interests. Yes, 97%. That's almost everyone. But have you ever seen Western media talk about this issue? No, right? Sorry, media, but propaganda doesn't last forever. The truth is out in the open. It's not Russia, but the US, which is the biggest enemy of not only France, but the whole of Europe. So it's high time Europe takes its sovereignty into its own hands.